Persia, one of the most mysterious countries on the planet, is one of the oldest states that have existed for more than 5,000 years. However, in 1935 the country changed its name to Iran, which led to a loss of connection in the minds of most people. Today, almost no one associates Iran with ancient Persia. But is it worth it? Corresponds to historical truth. Let's discuss this issue for the next few minutes. The history of Iran is traditionally divided into two periods, pre-Muslim and Muslim. The first period began millions of years ago, when human ancestors lived on the territory of the modern country. Only pear-shaped axes have come down to us from them, and evolution here took place similarly to that in other parts of Asia. Approximately 50,000 years ago, Iran was the dominant place for the Neanderthals, and 36,000 years ago they were replaced by the Cro-Magnons. However, the history of Persia is not so well known to the world community, and its historical significance is underestimated. Many urban settlements have been discovered on the territory of Iran, the age of which is 6,000 to 7,000 years. There are also traces of various cultures, including the Druian, Ziggurats, and Sialks, as well as ceramic vessels, which date back to the 4th millennium BC. In the light of these archaeological finds, many scientists speak of the existence of ancient civilizations on the territory of Iran, which, together with Mesopotamia and China, makes the country significant as a potential cradle of human civilization. However, due to the lack of popularity of Iran, this status is often given to the ancient Elam, which is considered the first civilization on the territory of Iran. The state of Elam was located in the southwest of modern Iran, and our knowledge about it is mainly based on Sumerian sources. Susa was the main city of Elam, but the Sumerians also mention dozens of other city-states on its territory. Susa seems to have been founded as early as the 4th millennium BC, which makes it a much older city than some of the most ancient settlements are thought to be. In a certain period of time, Elam played a geopolitical role. In the 26th century BC, the Elamites actually took over Sumer, but in the 23rd century BC, they themselves were taken over by the Akkadians. It should be noted that this is connected with one of the most important historical events. The Akkad king Naram soon concluded a written agreement with Elam, which noted the preservation of Elam's independence, but the need to coordinate foreign policy with the kings of Akkad. It was the first ever international treaty, and thus Iran can be considered one of the pioneers of geopolitics. However, it is worth noting that at that time people genetically close to the Sumerians and the inhabitants of Mesopotamia lived on the territory of Elam. The exact date of the arrival of the Iranian tribes in Persia is not known, but it is assumed that it happened sometime between the 20th and 15th centuries BC. Later, the Iranians brought their culture to the region, and they also have a connection with modern Central Asia or the Caucasus. Iran, despite the official destruction of Elam in 539 BC, continued to play an important role. There are references that an Elamite delegation was present in Jerusalem at the beginning of our era. Then the history of the Iranians is usually associated with the formation of the state of Media. The state of Media arose in 670 BC and was predominantly inhabited by Medians. Thus, the ancient state of Elam was located in the southwest of modern Iran. It was known chiefly from Sumerian sources, and its chief city was Susa. Elam played a geopolitical role and was interconnected with other civilizations, including Sumer and Akkad. Later, the state of Media was formed on its territory, which arose in 670 BC and was inhabited mainly by Medians. The Medes, also known as the Aryans, ruled the state of Media, which lasted for about 2 centuries. Together with the Babylonians, they managed to conquer a significant part of the Assyrian Empire, as well as territories in Turkey and the Armenian highlands. However, their existence as a powerful country was interrupted by a kindred tribe of Persians. According to legend, they united under the rule of King Achaemen and received the name of the Persians. In the 6th century BC, Cyrus II the Great founded a vast Persian empire stretching from Egypt to India. The Medes were assimilated into this empire, and the differences between the Iranian tribes were insignificant. The Greeks continue to refer to the Persians as Medes in their sources, and it is through Greek historiography that we have learned much of the history of the Greco-Persian Wars. In reality, these wars meant only some losses for the Achaemenid Empire, which continued to rule Turkey, Western Asia, parts of Africa, and some Indian tribes. The Persians even allied with Sparta against Athens and played an important role in the political affairs of Greece. As a result, the Persians made a shameful peace with Greece in 387 BC, as a result of which they actually became the guarantors of relations between Greek cities. After this period, the Spartan Antalkit became a descendant of Artaxerxes, who was the commander of the Persian fleet. Together with the Persians, he made peace, which turned out to be humiliating for ancient Greece. The Persians not only received the island of Cyprus and the cities of Asia Minor, but also actually became the guarantors of all Greek cities. This was achieved without military confrontation, unlike Xerxes, who was unable to achieve this state of affairs. Thus, the Persian Empire maintained its power and influence for several centuries, and its history continued with the descendants of Artaxerxes. Persia, without resorting to a military invasion, actually began to control Greek life, while simultaneously conquering another part of Egypt. However, the Achaemenids faced the problem of managing numerous subjugated peoples, and when Alexander the Great entered the scene, they were brutally defeated. This happened in 330 BC after the death of Alexander. The Macedonian Empire did not last long, and Persia was captured by the Parthians, representatives of the Indo-Iranian tribes. The king of Parthia, Mithridates I, proclaimed himself king of kings and successor to the Achaemenids. The Parthian Empire existed for 5 centuries, from the 3rd century BC to the 3rd century AD. Although the Parthians in terms of territory could be compared with the Achaemenids, but not so much in independence. The Byzantine Empire regarded the Parthians as its vassals. With the advent of the Sassanids, who renamed Parthia in their honor, a centralized state was created. Zoroastrianism became the official religion, although the power of the feudal lords weakened. Rome and Byzantium were able to strike at Persia, especially in Mesopotamia and Armenia, which often changed hands. Unfortunately, in 651, Persia fell to the Arab conquerors, and the empire, founded almost 1,000 years ago, ceased to exist. The Umayyad Caliphate was founded with its capital in Damascus, which began its rule by allowing Christians and Jews to practice their religions. They also tried to develop science and attract people of different religions to the government. However, religious intolerance led to thousands of years of divisions, and the entire Middle East, including Iran, was plunged into conflicts between the Abbasids, Tahirids, Saffarids, and Buyids. There was no overt reaction to Christianization or Islamization in Iran, and various rulers repeatedly failed to make Persia Islamic. The Persian language continued to be used, and books were printed, and representatives of Zoroastrianism continue to exist to the present day. In 1220, Iran was conquered by Genghis Khan and the Mongols, who ruled the country until the 14th century, when Iran became subject to Tamerlane. In 1501, the Safavid state appeared, which tried to return to its historical roots, but only the next 2.5 centuries managed to conduct a completely independent policy. In 1785, Khair Iran came to power, which began prominently with the return of control over Georgia and the Caucasus, but lost territory after several wars with Russia. During the First World War, Iran was in crisis and became a platform for confrontation between Russia and Britain. In 1919, Britain tried to make Iran its colony, but failed, and later the USSR temporarily returned with an army. As a result, power in Iran nevertheless passed to the Persians, and various figures, such as Reza Shah Pahlavi, led the country to industrialization and in 1935 officially renamed it Iran. During the Second World War, Iran was subjected to intervention by the British Soviet troops, and then became the object of geopolitical games between the US, Britain, and the USSR. In 1979, the Islamic Revolution took place, as a result of which Iran became a theocratic republic. Despite rich oil resources, the country remained at the center of geopolitical interests. In 1980, the war with Iraq began, which lasted 8 years and did not bring a definite outcome. In subsequent years, Iran witnessed conflicts with the USSR, Israel, the USA, and other countries. Now Iran is in political tension, and its history continues to develop, remaining in the focus of attention of the international community.